So, guys, we've all been in organizations that are trying to adopt a more agile way of working, whether that's Scrum specifically, some other set of methodologies that they're producing themselves, maybe Kanban, maybe XP, whatever it is. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've all experienced the what we'll call the management pushback. Right? You've got team members who are super excited about using Scrum and isn't this cool and there's a whole new way of working and management can sometimes be apathetic at best or even actively resist and introduce friction into this change. And so why do you think that is? What have you experienced? Why does management sometimes just resist this change that we're trying to drive?
Yeah, let me jump in on that one. I This is something I think about a lot because we see it from both ends. I mean, we work with individuals to train them up, and we work with leadership to get this to work in their organization. And we see it from all ends, and sometimes we are the ones that see the resistance.
Mhm.
And there's a few things that I mean, from my perspective, I see for sure. One of them is a mismatch expectation around accountabilities, and I don't just mean
Mm.
Scrum accountabilities, but what like if I'm a manager, I've got six people that I'm responsible for, and they're doing work, and I have a budget to maintain, and I've got a boss to answer to, and all that. What am I holding that team accountable to? And if the answer to that question is I'm hoping that they produce really good user stories, as a manager, you might be on the wrong track.
Sure.
As a manager, what you really want to be doing, instead of being hyper focused on practices or the nuances or making sure that a team knows the basics, it should be more around holding them accountable to results. And one of the number one results that you see in Scrum is a usable done increment. And that's a fancy word for a new version of your product that your customer can use today. It's safe for consumption, it's ready to go. If you can have one of those available consistently and your team can produce these consistently, as a manager, do you really care how they get there, assuming it's legal? Um, and so that right there, if you set them up for success by saying, look, I don't care how you do it, I don't care how many hours a day you work or don't work, I just want to see a releasable increment every single sprint. Let me know if you have any challenges or concerns. That would be a great starting point for managers because now we're not going to see resistance about what we're supposed to be accomplishing. Now we might just have to discuss, what negotiate what I guess that increment looks like and if it really solves a goal.
Sure. So
So
focus on less on the tactics, and they're focusing too much on the tactics and not enough on the results.
yeah, I mean that's the 2 second version of what I just said.
Nice. Cool. How about you, Greg? What do you think?
I'm going to build on Rob's mention about supporting them, giving them what they need. It's like, if you have any questions, let me know. So I do teach one of the leadership courses that Scrum.org offers called the PAL course, in which
Hmm.
we build on that thought. We spend the bulk of a day referring to the maturing of teams. How do you get teams from a state in which really, let's just be fair, managers or leaders don't trust the teams to do what Rob just mentioned because they haven't done it before. What's going to make them do it now if I just say, go do the thing? So they are
Right.
used to managing the system and making sure that the lights are on. I call it the machine is running syndrome, where I'm looking for all the measures that indicate that the machine is buzzing, humming, doing something. And that could look like producing increments, which is helpful because now we got something at least predictable. And that's that theme that begins that whole PAL-E class is predictability, because that's what leaders care about. I mean, they have a lot of concern about predictability. Well, then pivot towards, well, if my teams aren't currently predictable, how can we get there? And the maturity matrix that we go through has a lot of those elements in it. So we evaluate where your team currently stands, not from a judgment standpoint, but from really just an analysis. What are they capable of given their current skill sets, given their current maturity? Has nothing to do with age or time serving in a particular industry. It's just the team maturity. And that composition is going to be unique to every team. So it's not a one size fits all. And then with those building blocks, you can make some assessments as to how you interact. Do you delegate more, or do you start to pivot towards more delegation? Or maybe you can't delegate quite yet because they're still learning. So supporting looks like an evaluation of where are your teams, make an assessment, and then help them be able to grow into a space in which they can build the predictable thing over and over and over again. So I'll just kind of tap on that as a mention of maturity of teams, the leadership's responsibilities to help support their growth.
Got it.
That's good.
Yeah, I think I agree with both of you as to why you've seen management resistance. I'm going to take it in a slightly different direction because I'm kind of reminded of an exercise that we do in the Professional Scrum Master class, the PSM class, which we also teach PSM classes and other Scrum classes. You should come; they're fun. There's an exercise that asks the students, imagine your CEO said to you, I hear that your team is using this thing called Agile. Tell me more about that. I'm not familiar with it, right? And so it's basically trying to ask the question, why do CEOs and other upper level managers care about this Agile and Scrum stuff that we're trying to do? And a lot of times I'll hear responses like, "Oh, we've got this backlog and we're writing user stories and we're having daily Scrum meetings and like all this stuff it's good stuff." Even things like our team is more engaged, which yes, hopefully that puts a smile on your CEO's face, but if you think big picture, the CEO cares about delivering better products, maximizing value, growing market share, like running a successful business, right? And so I think it's incumbent on those of us trying to drive change in an organization to a more agile approach that could be scrum masters, agile coaches, other change agents in this sort of agile space. I think it's incumbent on us not to miss the forest for the trees and really make sure that when we're communicating to management about why they should care about Scrum, right? Make sure you're communicating at their level and painting a picture that is enticing to them that helps them overcome that initial resistance, right? We're asking them to give up things like fine grained control over a Gantt chart. We're asking them to empower a product owner to make a lot of big product decisions that maybe executives were used to making. We're asking them to let a team be self-managing. We're asking them to let go of a lot of things that feel like they keep them in control. And when we replace that, we should be replacing it with things like, but here's what you get for that. You get sooner time to market, hopefully, for creating those done increments that you talked about, Rob. We're getting hopefully a more valuable product. We're getting less waste because we're going to validate direction more frequently and stop investing in features nobody cares about and invest more in features that our customers do care about. A more competitive adaptability structure. Like there's all these benefits that big picture managers should be interested in. And I think it's incumbent on like I said, us as scrum masters, agile coaches, whatever, people trying to drive these changes to speak at that level. The whole idea of getting value sooner, not necessarily faster. That's another video that we have coming out soon, right? And if you want that video delivered straight to your inbox, click the link in the description. We'll send it right to you when it's ready. Those are the type of big picture things that we should be talking to management about and helping them understand it's not just about managing a backlog and these team-based tactics, which are good. They get a lot from Scrum, and we should be able to talk about it at their level.
Definitely.